Hey everyone! So I've started playing around with the latest Minecraft 1.5 snapshots that have been coming out recently, and I want to explore the mechanics around converting a minecart into an item drop, such that it can be collected into a hopper. Now I haven't seen too much information out there about these so-called minecart collectors, so I decided to create this video to show you guys the different kinds of minecart collector designs that are available out there, and the various pros and cons of each design. We'll be going over 4 such designs in this video. The first uses cactuses, the second uses netherrack and fire, the third uses arrows, and the fourth uses fire charges or flint and steel. If you're only interested in one of these collectors, you can just click the annotation link on the screen to jump to that portion of the video. Otherwise, just sit back and watch the whole thing. Anyway, let's get started. The cactus-powered minecart collector is probably the most well-known and popular of all the collectors, and it's also very easy to build and use. Basically, when you make a minecart collide with a cactus, as I'll demonstrate here, it gets turned into an item drop, which is then collected by a hopper below. Now, the thing with these item drops is that when they're created, they fly off in a random direction. And we want to try to collect as many of these drops as we can, so that's why I have this second hopper here. Some item drops might fly away from the cactus onto the track there, so this second hopper is there to help collect those drops. So the second hopper will point to the first hopper and then into this chest here, and there you can see our cart is in the chest. Now also the item drops, because it's a random direction, they can also fly into the cactus, and unfortunately when that happens the drop gets destroyed. It only happens occasionally, about 5% of the time from my testing, and I haven't found a surefire way of preventing it from happening, so for now we'll have to just deal with it. So to reiterate, the advantages of this system is that there's no refilling or maintenance required, and also there's no redstone involved as well. It's also a silent operating system, so it doesn't create any noise apart from the minecart running into the cactus. And the disadvantages of this system is that, again, about 5% of all item drops are lost. And also, you can't place any actual blocks adjacent to the cactus. These blocks have to be air. So this might become a slight problem when you're trying to put this collector into a tight space, for example. The next collector design I'd like to show you is what I call an eternal fire minecart collector. It's like the cactus collector, except that the cart runs into a fire block on top of a netherrack block. The fire will never burn out because it's on top of netherrack, so you don't have to worry about maintaining or refilling anything. But the problem with this collector is that it has a much higher chance of destroying your item drops. So I'll demonstrate here. And we'll just check the chest here, and unfortunately in that case the item got destroyed. You probably saw it get the item drop flew into the fire and got destroyed. So to help try to prevent this, I've put in an unpowered rail just before the fire, just to help the cart slow down and reduce the chances of the item drop falling into the fire. But even with this unpowered rail, I still find that about 20% of all the item drops are destroyed. So to reiterate, the advantages of this collector is no refilling required and no redstone needed. The disadvantages, again, about 20% of all the item drops are lost, even with the unpowered rail there to slow the cart down. And also, because the fire is always there, it does make a crackling sound, which might be a bit annoying for some players. Next up, we have the arrow-powered minecart collector. So how this one works is that if you shoot 2 arrows at a minecart, one immediately right after the other, the cart turns into an item drop. To achieve this, what I've got here is a detector rail, which the cart will pass over just before getting to those hoppers there. And the detector rail will trigger this monostable circuit, which will then provide 2 quick signals to this dispenser full of arrows here. I'll quickly demonstrate it right now. As you can see here, the cart is now safely inside our chest. Now, the advantage of this type of collector is that unlike the cactus and eternal fire collectors, this one has no chance of losing any cards. It will capture 100% of all item drops. However, the disadvantages of this collector are quite numerous. It only has limited uses, and it does require refilling. And if you, in this example, if you only had one dispenser, there'll be like 64 arrows per stack times 9 stacks. But because we need to use 2 arrows per minecart, that reduces the number of actual usages by half, so that leaves us with only 288 uses before needing a refill. Also, this collector requires a precisely timed monostable circuit that'll trigger the dispenser twice in quick succession, and I found out this to be very difficult with at least these latest 1.5 snapshots, because I'm using the comparators, and the behavior of those comparators has been pretty inconsistent lately. Some comparators might work in one location and the other. Sometimes it'll trigger 3 times or maybe not at all. So it'll have a bit of difficulty trying to make a nice reliable monostable circuit for this collector. And finally, because we're shooting 2 arrows, it's arguably twice as noisy, probably worse than the Eternal Fire collector. The final collector I'll be going over in this video is what I call the Directed Fire Minecart collector. Now, with the Eternal Fire collector, we made the cart run into the fire. But with this one, we will instead bring the fire to the cart. And this is done using fire charges or flint and steel. Now, in this collector, I've got a detector rail, just like the arrow-powered one. But the difference is, instead of a monostable circuit, I have a simple delayed circuit, which will only provide one delayed signal. And that's because, since I'm using fire charges in here, as you can see in the dispenser there, I only need 1 fire charge to destroy the cart rather than 2 arrows. So I'll just demonstrate it quickly right now. If I check my chest, you can see there's my cart. Now, I don't have to use fire charges. I can replace these with flint and steel, which will work just as well, except for a few caveats. So I will demonstrate again there. And check my chest. Oh, there's my second cart. But you'll notice that there's a bit of smoke coming out of the hopper there. It kind of looks like the hopper's burning almost. But what's happening is, on top of the hopper, there's actually an invisible fire that the flint and steel has set up there. It's actually burned out there. I think I will send another cart just to demonstrate this. So we'll go in there. And the problem is that fire is going to stay there. If I send any further carts, it increases the chance of that cart getting destroyed. So I sent 4 carts in total, but you'll see I only have 3 there. So it must be that 4th cart I just sent there got destroyed by that invisible fire. So you have to, that's a disadvantage of just using flint and steel. Fire chargers are working just fine. They don't leave that sort of residual fire there, unfortunately. So the advantages of this collector is that, again, just like the arrow-based one, it does collect 100% of all item drops. And it's even better than the arrow-based one because it only requires a simple delayed circuit. The disadvantages, it also has limited uses. It does require refills. But since you only need 1 fire charge per minecart, you get more uses out of it. So if you have 1 dispenser, you get 576 uses. With flint and steel, you get slightly more, not significantly much, 585 uses. Also, the shooting sound of the fire charge is noisy. And also, again, that whole thing with the flint and steel, if you are going to use it, you're going to need some sort of delay mechanism so you don't have any further incoming carts that will get burned by the residual fire there. So to end off this video, I'd like to show you how I was able to determine the approximate percentage of item drops that are lost from some of the collectors I've shown you. To do this, I've created this little testing mechanism to repeatedly send carts into the collectors. So here I've got all 4 types of my collectors there. And for each collector, I've got a dispenser that will launch carts out of there, and they're being fed each by this double chest full of 54 carts in total. And right now they're not being fed down into dispensers and it's not being turned on. But when it is turned on, the carts will flow into the dispenser. And then I got this clock back here, which will trigger all 4 of these dispensers all at the same time, and also every few seconds, and until basically all 54 carts are for each collector are dispensed. And then once that's done, I can check this chest, which is down here, which is currently empty, and check how many carts have been preserved by that collector. So without further ado, let's test it out. And for the sake of time, I'm going to speed up the video at this point, and we'll see you in a bit here. Alright, looks like we're done here, so I'll just turn this guy off here. And let's see what we've got. So we'll start with the cactus-powered minecart collector. You can see here we've actually got all the carts here, but in some cases, some runs, I've seen 1 or 2 carts go missing here, so this was a pretty good run. For the eternal fire collector, we see that we're missing about 6. That's about 10% of all the carts. I've sometimes seen about maybe 13 of the carts missing, so a bit more than that, but this was a pretty good run as well. For the arrow powered one, all the carts are there. And finally, for the directed fire one, using fire charges, all the carts are there as well. So, yep, that's about it. That's how I got those percentages. If you have any questions or any ideas for any further collector designs, feel free to let me know in the comments, or even ways of making the cactus-powered collector work more reliably. That's also good too. So yeah, that's about it for now. Thanks for watching.